Rendezvous with DS. Candid conversations with amazing achievers. So let's make a start.
Yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Bhadani. Dr. Bhadani, you might know that this is the first episode of Rendezvous with DS. And ever since I thought of starting a series like this, you were the first person that came to my mind, and I wanted to invite you. And luckily, it is possible.
Yeah,
I'm not going to,
it's good to be discussing with you in your new venture, and I always find you very creative in terms of using technology and getting people into it.
yeah. I am not going to introduce you formally because I have, as I mentioned in the introduction as well, it will be a very informal kind of discussion because I'm sure you attend many programs and formally people communicate with you, but this will be a little friendly chat.
Better.
So now I know you, I have known you for probably a decade or so, and we have met online and offline, and people call you a teacher trainer, a researcher, a publisher, and now even a pro vice chancellor of a university. So you have many labels. But if somebody asks you to describe you in just 3 words, what 3 words will you use?
Uh, First word could be a seeker. Yeah, not in terms of spirituality, but I go with an open mind. Like whatever I try to do with my career or when I go to meet people. So first could be the seeker, and I think you have put me in a tight corner by saying 3 words because I find it difficult even to think of a second word. But let me try it anyway. Second could be unlearner maybe because I started my journey as a student of rural studies, and then I moved to English literature, and then into so many other things. So, but this unlearning helps. Yeah, it helps. Another tip could be, I don't know. I love fun. I love meeting people, friendly, whatever you call it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Uh, I'm sure there are many people who are, going to watch this program later on, and they may not be familiar with your current activities.
Okay.
So if you can say something about how you, pass your day, what
Okay.
are your current occupations, responsibilities?
Uh, so we'll start with this responsibility part, and then we'll move into something that is more interesting and that keeps me busy day and night. So right now I am situated in Sanosara, which is a village in Bhavnagar, about 45 kilometers on Bhavnagar-Rajkot highway. So recently, we have become, my institute has become a private university. So we call it Lokbharati University for Rural Innovation. So we focus on how to solve the basic rural problems through innovation and quality education. And in that, my role is to design creative learning ecosystems to have meaningful and functional collaborations with NGOs, educational institutes, and to connect dots. And I also talk to students quite often, not as a regular, I don't teach a subject, but we call it deep learning sessions, wherein something like this happens, wherein we have sharings on the basic aspects of life and how to make life more meaningful and stuff like that. A bit of administration also creeps into, because when you're dealing with a university or to appoint people and then you have to train them. So this is what we do here. And insofar as other things are concerned, I read. I record audio, video, and I share it on public platforms, social media like YouTube, and I experiment with technology like you do. So I'm using Instagram, and I try to share my readings. It's just a happy sharing through videos, and yeah, and I go for physical lectures to to educational institutes, particularly conducting workshops for teachers and parents. Recently, I've been gifted a very beautiful book, and I'm sure you would have read it. It is Power Shift by Alvin Toffler. Uh, we know his other two books, Future Shock and Third Wave, but this is the last in the trilogy.
There is some problem with the audio, Vishal, it seems. There is a comment
Really?
also. Yes.
Okay.
So I just asked them whether it is from my side or Vishal's side.
Okay.
Do you have a microphone, Vishal? I think it is
Uh,
from Vishal's side. So if your
okay.
microphone, probably that will be a little better.
In that case, I'll have to use my laptop. So can we switch
Yeah, you
to?
can. Yeah, you can connect via
Yeah, yeah,
laptop. Yeah.
yeah. So meanwhile, so as I was saying, if this works, I was talking about a book that I was recently gifted.
Okay.
It's by Alvin
Is
Toffler's Power Shift.
right. Is this the same writer who wrote Future Shock?
Yeah. So
Right.
like Harari, he has this trilogy,
Hmm.
and this is the third of the trilogy. First was Future Shock, then Third Wave, and this is Power Shift.
Right.
But quite a work.
Hmm.
And in fact, he has like Will Durai and Ariel Durai is collaborating work with his wife.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think you need to.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is my audio better? Let's
Much
ask to
better.
the viewers. Yeah.
Yes, much better. Even I can sense that. Lovely.
Okay.
Yes. So you were mentioning your activities and responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, one thing which has always surprised me, like ever since I have known you, you remain active on so many platforms, in so many fields. And normally, when people work in so many areas, their creativity is diluted. Whereas in your case, that has not happened. I have seen you as a creative writer, you are a presenter, a public speaker, and everywhere we can see that spark of creativity in you. So, what is the secret?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. But maybe uh, if I put it in this way, whatever I do, I don't have an agenda. Sometimes people have an agenda that you write, you become a popular, then you go to deliver lectures, and I don't do things for any other interest. If something happens, it's a byproduct. But I do it for a thorough, personal joy of doing it, experimenting it, and maybe that could be the reason. And as I said, being an unlearner, like I don't tie myself very tightly to anything. So I have left more jobs than I got them.
Okay, right,
Yeah.
correct. I think that's the main thing. You do something just for the love of doing it, and that's why you are more creative than an average person. Yeah, right. Because I've seen you working in so many fields. So in fact, I was reading your CV, and that also is a very heavy piece of document in terms of the quality and quantity that you have done. So it's amazing. And uh, anyway, we'll talk about your creative expressions later on because I have some questions. I have prepared some questions for you. Now,
Right.
every person has some or the other role model or role models. So if I can ask you, do you have any role model or role models, people who have influenced you a lot? They may be alive now, or you may have been influenced because of their thoughts, ideas, their books, their works. So you can throw some light on that.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the only one person I kind of call role model, but that person has told me not to do so or not to make any role model for that matter.
Okay.
ना किसी को गुरु बनाओ ना किसी का बनो. That is his mode of life. But I find all those people who are debunking popular myths or very general statements, like just to give you an example, that many people tell me that if you are into admin, you lose your academics. I said, no, that can't be the science. That can't be the thumb rule. So I always try to debunk those myths. So one such person I met was Dr. Mahendra Chotalia, and he opened up various vistas of thinking and being and experimenting. And but like as I said, he always tells me this, that don't be anybody's guru and don't allow anybody to be your own guru. So that that keeps various rooms open. But I can certainly say that books have been very influential in my journey, because uh, learning English helped me read more and diversified books. For instance, for the past, I would say, more than 5 years, I've been reading more non-fiction than fiction.
Okay.
Although my basic training is in English literature, I should be reading more novels, but I'm reading like neuroscience, and I'm reading architecture, and I'm reading philosophy, and a bit of spirituality. So, as I said, not tying yourself to one particular discipline, remaining fluid, yeah, that helps. And of
Mm,
course, meeting people. One thing that I learned from the Indian knowledge systems is that the real knowledge is with people, because they have lived through all the odds. So I keep meeting people, all kinds of people, not just people who have achieved something or people who are on some kind of positions, but ordinary people, all those people, Tom, Dick, and Harry. They are also like, I feel life in them, so that helps. I don't know if
right.
I've answered your question properly, but this is what I
Right.
feel. Yeah.
So probably you have learned from everything and everyone.
Yeah.
Right. I know you are an avid reader and you read all kinds of writers, and probably you read in Gujarati, Hindi, and English equally. So if you have to recommend, or maybe if you want to say three names of writers who have influenced you, ultimately your thought process is always conditioned by what you read and listen to. So if you can say something about three people who have influenced
Oh,
writers.
but why do you insist on three?
Maybe you can add or subtract, it's up to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
because
one person, if you can say in detail about one writer who has
no, no,
massively
I can,
influenced you.
yeah, yeah, I can see. If I want to start with, if I'm making list someday, I would start with Will Durant and
Okay.
his two books. One is
Mm.
the story of civilization, which is spread in 11 volumes,
Mhm.
and beautiful. He calls himself as the philosopher of history. And he took me to history. So I have read history through his lenses, and I have learned from Vildura to see bigger picture of life,
Mhm.
bigger picture of the world, and how everything is going on. So when you read history and philosophy together, I think then all the petty issues, they cease to be in your life. Then you don't complain about them. When you
Right.
understand how we have evolved through various ups and downs, vicissitudes
Mhm.
of history, so that calms you down. And so
Right.
so that is Vildura.
The other book.
The other book
First,
is The Story of Philosophy.
okay,
He wrote History of Western Philosophy.
okay.
So that is also very beautiful, and so he prepared a kind of map of Western philosophy.
Hmm.
So that gave me a lot of insights, and particularly his language. When we read philosophy, our popular perception is, oh, it is very dull and dry kind of
Mm,
prose. But no, when you go to Vildura, it is very poetic, lucid, and fresh prose. It
right.
dances with you.
Mm,
So that is Vildura. Another book I've been suggested, and I've kind of, again, that's a trilogy. It's Daniel Boostein. His trilogy consists of creators, then discoverers, and one more. I forgot. Yeah, but Daniel Boostein is also very good. Uh, mm, in Hindi, I've been reading Kamleshwar.
okay.
Kamleshwar is the guy who wrote the famous TV serial Chandrakanta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's Kamleshwar, and his famous novel called Kitne Pakistan.
Mm-hmm.
Again, a kind of 1,000 years history and politics and fiction put together. That's
Okay.
beautiful. And
Right.
Gujarati, of course, Manubhai Pancholi, Darshak,
Mm,
all his works, and he has contributed into literature, education, political science, and what else? Rural development. Yeah, but
right.
wherever you read him, he is the
Mm-hmm.
authentic, voice of the soil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
In fiction,
Mhm.
let me add one more. Fiction, particularly science fiction. I love science fiction. I read Ray Bradbury. He's the guy who gave us Martian Chronicles. Beautiful. Like you fall in love for Ray Bradbury. Yeah.
Right. Yes. By the way, those who are watching this live and those who are probably going to watch it later on, for them, what we will do in the in the comment section, we will give probably titles of whatever books you mention and whatever things come out in the discussion. If there is some link, we will give in the comment section later on. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the moment you mentioned Will Durant, I thought of The Case for India, that
Ah,
section of,
yes. Yes,
yeah,
yes,
that's a
yes, yes.
wonderful book. And I think it should be in the textbook of every, standard 9 or 10 student.
Certainly, certainly. And
It's
for
such an
those
important,
who, yes, for those who wish to read that in Gujarati, it has been translated also,
oh, that's wonderful. I didn't know that.
and translated by Dr. Mahendra Chotalia.
Oh, I think I have to invite him in one of the
Oh,
sessions.
please, please, please do,
Yes,
please do.
yes.
Yeah.
I've met him only once, that too probably 2, 3 decades ago. It was a brief meeting, but now since you have mentioned it, you recommended it in a way
Oh,
very
yes,
strongly. So
yes,
I would love to meet him and interact with him, and via this program, probably viewers will also get a chance to meet such personalities.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. About thinkers, I have seen on your LinkedIn profile that you have delivered many lectures on Yuval Noah Harari. So if you can just introduce that person to those who haven't read any of his books,
Okay, okay.
and
So,
how it is important for the current youth to read him.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I forgot to mention him because you told me to mention three. That's why. But yeah, so his full name is Yuval Noah Harari. He's from Jerusalem. He teaches at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He's a professor of history, PhD from Oxford. But is the perhaps one of those historians who also talk about future. So his first book got very popular that he had written for his students. That is called *Sapiens: A Brief History of Mankind*. Brief means
Mhm.
about 70,000 years, and then he talked about future, about what might happen based on the meta trends of science and technology. So that is the book everybody should read, because we are heading towards a new kind of revolution that mankind is yet to see. It is called Homo Deus, A Brief History of Tomorrow. and his third book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. That is the book about the present, wherein talks about what is happening and how should we respond to it. I'm interested in Harari. Of course, there is history for that. And secondly, he is very bold. Like he's brave enough to make certain statements that today, when many writers, many thinkers would be probably, keep themselves safeguarded with. But he is a person who thinks clearly, and he says everything very clearly. His articulation is fantastic. So that's why
He
I
doesn't pull his
recommend him.
punches.
Oh yes, yes.
Right. And when I read him, I found as if I was reading a person who is a creative writer. Though he was
Ah
writing
yes,
non-fiction, the language that he used was so beautiful.
yeah.
So I recommend reading. No, you will know Harari to even my students of language.
Ah, yes, yes. That's a very, very wise suggestion. And that is probably
Mm,
because he keeps himself away from all kinds of gadgets. Because in one of his interviews, he told people why he doesn't use any of the gadgets. Is he says, I don't want them to disturb me during my reading. He reads a lot. And I think
okay,
that is the actual source of his language.
okay,
Yeah.
right. Um, as you know, we have a language training institute and we teach English, French, and German. So our students might be interested in getting some tips from you. Because when I met you, you were just an ELT expert. And then I came to know about so many facets of your personality and your thinking. But I'm sure you are still active in ELT in some way or the other. So if you can give some tips to our language learners.
Oh, I think this is my very generic tip, not for learning a language, but learning anything. Is just fall for it, just love it. And when you fall for something, when you are in love with something, then you are surrounded by that, you are into that ambience. So it's very important to create an ambience while learning any language, for that matter English, German, or French. And now that we have this luxury of technology, I think we should begin with what we love the most, and we should use that as a medium to learn a language. For example, if I'm into sports, so I would rather listen to sports commentary as a mode of learning a language. If I love cooking, I would go for MasterChef Australia.
Right.
So likewise, you start with what you love, right? And then gradually build on it. And of course, like learning anything, this platinum rule, 10,000 hours to master
Mm.
anything. So quality time, you have to say no to many things. See, when you devote quality time to anything, you begin to be one with it. So this non-duality has to happen.
Right.
So once this non-duality will happen, people will know you by your passion. I think so. So this passionate approach. So you say no to 10 different things, just to learn one word, or maybe
Right.
when you get excited about finding one fresh sentence pattern, when you
Mm.
dance like a child. Wow, I got
Mm.
this. So that passion has to come from you. It should be ignited within you, and you should have more passion than excuses. Sometimes people have
Very
these
true.
excuses that, oh, nobody speaks English in my home, or I come from a rural area so I can't learn English. That is all excuse. I have to say the list. See, you should have bigger passion. आपकी जिद बड़ी होनी चाहिए.
Mm.
Yeah.
One of the viewers is asking how to create that ambience,
Oh, you have to. I think.
basically the environment for language learning.
Yeah, so one of the funny incidents that had happened with me and one of my students is he told me once that he wanted to learn how to speak good English. So I recommended him to speak English with everybody he meets in the college, off the college, and he started doing it. So he bombarded English like anything with everybody, and everybody found faults with him, which he worked upon. And gradually, he mastered it so well that today he is in Poland and
Okay.
he teaches there. I mean, not exactly teaching, but he's coaching engineers. He's an engineer.
Right.
He's a civil engineer. So creating an ambience, I mean, couple of things. Number one, you should have your digital diary. Maybe you can start a blog. Maybe you can have your YouTube channel. Every day, record yourself while speaking whatever language you are learning. Record it. Or record all your mistakes. Right. Record it. So gradually, you will yourself find it that okay, these things could be said in this way or that way. So we don't previously it was not possible except for written notes. We didn't have the opportunity to see our journey. Right now we have. So use digital platforms and read and try to experiment with your voice modulations and see you should love what you speak,
Mm.
and then probably others will also enjoy your speaking abilities.
Right. In fact, creating an environment for English language learning these days, to my mind, is so easy. With a click, you can call 1,000, people who have created podcasts. You can listen to
Yeah.
them for hours and hours and hours. You can watch so many YouTube videos and channels absolutely free.
So
So
we can say
creating an
that now
environment,
it has been created.
yeah, it is already created. We
you
just have
you
to
just
exploit
jump.
it.
Yeah, you
We
exploit
have to
it and you,
exploit it.
you just
Yeah.
jump off the cliff.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, you have, I'm sure, published so many books. So, is there any particular book that is very close to your heart? Fiction, non-fiction, whatever it is.
Oh, my own book.
Yes.
Oh, I follow Gandhiji's advice, the recent one.
Okay.
Gandhiji said that if you find two of my sentences contradictory, follow the recent one. So my recent book is the abridged summary of Harari and Peter Diamandis. It is called Vadhamana in Gujarati. So
Right.
I kind of not just translate, but put it into abridged translation and
Okay.
kind of domesticize or domesticate the
Hmm.
English examples into Gujarati ones. So
Okay.
that is, yeah. But
Right.
I had enjoyed translating Timir Panthi by Dhruv Bhatt. It was a very good experience of translating. It was written in so many dialects. So
Okay.
learning new words.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me right now about the tapes for learning language. I would always recommend people that don't just learn one language,
Mm.
because there are language families and you get insights from other languages also. So
Right.
it's good to when you're learning English, why not listen to Urdu shairis or maybe
Hmm.
some French movies that will help you learn English better.
I absolutely agree with you because when I started learning French, even today also I'm learning, I haven't finished it. So I found it so interesting and I'm able to compare Indian languages with English and French.
Yes,
And
yes,
probably it solidifies all the three.
yes, yes,
Very
absolutely.
interesting. Yeah. So that's a good
Polyphonous.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Uh, Recently, during the pandemic time, there was a lot of online teaching. We had to go on for online teaching, right? And probably you also did some, you had to do some online teaching as well. What is your experience? Should we continue online teaching or should we put an end to it? Or what is your view or your
Oh, okay.
experience?
Okay. My answer is rather philosophical. I feel any system that opens up, that provides variety, and that democratizes opportunities is good system. So I feel online teaching has opened up. Now I'm not dependent as a student on any physical teacher, right? So it has given me options. Secondly, it has democratized opportunities. Like recently, both of us are witness to the fact that today there are so many YouTubers who have taken YouTube as a career. So, in that case, learning online, I think it is a great opportunity. It is. Uh, Hello, can you hear me? I think I have lost you. Hello. Yeah, hello. Uh, just a minute. If others are online, just be with us.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there was some technical problem. There was a
Okay, okay.
disconnection.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So I was saying that learning online has provide us with great opportunities to interact with people whom we could never meet. For example, look at MOOCs, massive online open courses. Like like many of the professors we would never meet in our life. Professor from Harvard or MIT or Stanford or Leeds maybe. So that's good, really good. But there's a difference between online learning and emergency remote teaching. So what
Mm,
we did during Corona was emergency remote teaching, which was a group video call. That's it. But when we
mm,
say learning online, we what we mean by learning online is it is a software when you have to write online journal entries and you are assessed online, and so likewise there's a group discussion, and so it's a different game. That's good. I'm a pro tech person.
okay, right, same here. Right. You have done a lot of work in rural studies. You are keenly interested in rural education and innovation. So, if you can share your experience of working in that field.
Okay. So I have done my undergraduation in rural studies. So probably many of you would know that there's a degree called BRS, Bachelor of Rural Studies. So in that, we were taught like rural economics and how to go for community service while getting their participation, and rural employability concerns and environment, and all kinds of agriculture processing, all kinds of subjects. See, if India is an agriculture country, majority still lives in villages. So we must design systems that empower them while remaining in villages, because this urbanization is creating problems not just for urban people but for the entire planet. Look at the pollution, look at the crime rates, look at the traffic. But somehow we have forgotten the fact that rural areas have the basic industry called agriculture that provides raw material that is being processed in the cities. That's why people migrate to cities. So, what we do in our university or in rural studies is to decentralize this economy, wherein primary processing happens in rural areas so that rural girls and boys who have their own land, yeah, they get this confidence that we can make sufficient money while remaining in village. We don't have to go to city. So this
Oh,
have to is,
interesting.
yeah, this have to is nullified. I tell
Mm,
you a very beautiful case study. There's a village near my village, very small, inaccessible village. It is called Dhakan Kunda,
mhm.
and the two young brothers, they have have their startup. It is on ice cream.
Okay.
You won't believe the population of the village could be less than 2000.
Mhm.
But there's one shop of ice cream wherein people from 50 kilometers of vicinity they come, and that shop remains open till 2 a.m.
Oh,
And
lovely.
every day that chap sells 500 kgs of ice cream.
Oh, oh, lovely.
500 kg in such a small, inaccessible village. See, milk is pure, is his own buffalo
Mm,
farm, and he doesn't use any saccharine or any,
right.
additional, taste builders, nothing like. It's
Mm,
pure, simple
mm,
vanilla, pure salt.
okay.
And it is like handmade, like it's this koti ice cream, as we say it. So this
Mm.
machinery, you can see, check everything, and you can have as much as you want it. So so
Right.
so what we do in rural studies is we teach such case studies,
Okay.
and students also get it. And many of our students, they choose not to go to city,
Mhm.
and they live very contented life on their
Mm.
farm, and they enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
Any particular innovation that has impressed you a lot? Something from
Okay.
rural areas.
Oh yes, oh yes. Let me tell you about story of Mr. Mansukh Bhai Prajapati.
Hmm.
Is a potter in Vakaner, Morbi.
Hmm.
He couldn't clear his tenth during the earthquake in 2001. One of the walls in his house fell down, and all
Hmm.
the pots, earthen pots, were crushed.
Oh.
It was very sad. So somebody in the
Mm.
newspaper wrote that because earthen pots are equal to refrigerator for the poor people.
Mm.
So the newspaper headline said refrigerators of the poor got crashed in earthquake.
Mhm.
That gave him an idea. Can we have a refrigerator made of earth and
Mhm.
clay,
Right.
which does not require electricity? Because another concern after buying a refrigerator is electricity bill.
Right.
So he built uh, a refrigerator of clay. It's available online, and people got so much interested in his innovation that today Norway and Japan, they
Mhm.
are collaborating with this potter.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Amazing.
professors and teachers from IIM Ahmedabad, they go and learn from him.
Oh.
And then today he has his website called mythicool.com.
Right.
Mythicool. He prepared non-stick pan out of clay,
Okay.
because today the kind of non-stick pan you and I are using is very injurious, because the coating itself is injurious
Right.
to health. So he has created
Mm.
a dosa pan of clay. He has
Okay.
also developed a mitti cooker, pressure cooker
Okay.
out of clay.
My goodness.
I've got one, and if you feel that, if you get the real test of that is so amazing. So
Oh,
that has
lovely.
inspired me a lot. That has inspired me
Right.
a lot.
So I'm sure there must be many such stories,
Oh
innovation
yes,
from rural areas. They need
yes,
more exposure and probably they should be circulated
yeah,
online. Yeah, right. You mentioned something about neuroscience also.
yes.
You are interested in that. So anything that can help an average human being from your
Okay, okay.
study, something which we can
So
implement and live a little better life.
okay,
If
okay,
there is
okay.
something
So
like that.
let me give you quick neuro tips.
Okay.
Number one, have minimum 7 to 8 hours of sleep to
Mhm.
avoid under 30 heart attacks.
Oh.
Okay, there's a research that shows that if a young girl,
Mhm.
if she is sleep deprived, let's say if she sleeps 5 hours 2 days a week,
Mhm.
then her fertility decreases.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very, very, very bad. Secondly, uh, for students and for adults, having a lot of water, we should take sufficient amount of water, because water keeps our neurons function better.
Okay.
Third is daily exercise. See, for our neurotransmitters to exchange messages, there is a protein required.
Mhm.
So that protein is generated through exercise.
Okay.
So there's a book called Spark. A Revolutionary
Hmm.
Science of Brain Exercise. In that book, it is said 30 minutes exercise a day is a gold mine to save yourself from
Hmm.
Alzheimer's and other brain related diseases.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and I recommend to the
Good.
teachers and schools and colleges that you when students come to the school, you don't just get in or get them into a maths class. Get them to sports. When you begin your day
Hmm.
with sports, it recalibrates your brain.
Okay.
So in learning, it is said use it or lose it. So whatever you learn, you have to practice it, be it language or maths. Practice it, and your brain will help you.
Oh, I'm so happy to listen to this because I remember during my childhood we always used to go to school an hour before the school starts, and we used to play,
Yeah.
and then we
Yes.
would go to school.
But today the
So
problem is
good.
look at the morning school, look at the morning schools in cities.
Mhm.
The bus takes a whole round of 1 hour. So the
Right,
bus picks up
right,
the
right.
child at 5:30 or 6 maybe, and the child
Mm,
reaches at 7. The child is
mm,
half in the sleep. So you have to wake
right.
that child up through exercise.
Mm,
Maybe dance. Dance could be an exercise. And being
right,
Gujaratis, like we love Garba. So why not have 20 minutes of Garba every day in the school?
right. Correct. Interesting.
Yeah.
About your childhood and about your primary education, if you can say something, because I'm sure there is something in your childhood that has given you the foundation for this creativity and new thinking kind of thing. So anything special about
Okay.
childhood or its primary education? And what was the medium of instruction during schooling?
Oh, throughout my medium of instruction was Gujarati. I studied in government school, in a typical village government school. And the special thing about my childhood is I got freedom from my parents because my parents did not study much. Even they could not make up to
Mhm,
primary education, three or four grade.
mhm,
That's it. So they
mhm,
gave me freedom. So there was no, sometimes we are over parenting, poking our nose to what is the homework, let me do this for you. So I was saved from that torture. Second thing is community living.
mhm,
So if I'm out for let's say 12 at night, till
mhm,
12 at night, my parents wouldn't bother. They
mhm,
wouldn't come searching for me because it's a village. Where would I go? So that gave us an opportunity to experiment and adventure. So the
mhm.
place, the place I belong to, and right now I'm living, we have a mountain range in kilometers. So
Okay.
we used to go to mountains even when we were 10 years old. We used to walk about, I don't know, 6, 7 kilometers a day.
Mhm.
Every day you to go to the mountains, and so that connection with nature. And I belong to a
Nature.
farmer family, so I had to work in the farm. So
Mhm.
hard work is somehow is inbuilt, maybe on the farm or in the office
Right.
or reading maybe. So it just the form changes, the spirit remains the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Lovely. I see a lot of similarities between our upbringing, though I was not in a village, but it was almost like a village.
Yes.
Yeah, right. What's your future plan? I'm sure it is very difficult to answer, but still, if you can say something, broad way.
No, my future plan, I don't have a future plan, but I have this philosophy
Hmm.
that I should be constantly traveling.
Hmm.
Like whenever I feel that I'm done with the place in terms of learning, I would leave that place, no matter what that place is offering. But if my learning stops, then I wouldn't stop there. So one thing for sure about me is that I will be at different place every now and then. That has been
Hmm.
the history so far. So it might be the future. We can't be certain about it,
Right.
but yeah, i want
Mm.
to i want to learn languages. I want to read more, better. I want to learn various ways of communication. So maybe
Mhm.
that's what I'm doing for the future.
Right. Any regrets? Something that you wanted
Regret.
to do, or something that you wanted to visit or couldn't, or something you wanted to achieve you couldn't. Any regrets? I know it's a very it's not the right time to ask this question
No, no, no. It's a
because
good question.
you
Good
are quite
question. In fact,
young and you have still a long way to go, and you can
no,
achieve
no, no.
whatever you want.
Uh, yeah, I have not exactly regrets, but we often think what could have been, what would have been about life and learning. So I always feel that during my school and high school, nobody educated me about fine arts.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in drawing, but nobody told me there is a career in fine arts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what I feel that, in terms of democratization of opportunities, at least we should have this in front of us as a buffet wherein we can
Mm.
pick and choose.
Right,
So only thing when you choose from only limited options, then that may not be the wisest of the choices.
right.
Yeah, and I something that I left and I wanted to resume is yoga. Yeah,
Mm.
I did, and that was one of the turning points during my journey. I was a very shy introvert kind of a person during my school days, but then I was introduced to yoga, and then I started participating as a schoolboy. I went to various national competitions, and I
Oh,
stood
really?
fourth. I stood
Oh,
fourth in entire nation in rope yoga.
okay.
So that gave me confidence. So if I have to give credit to confidence, it is sports and yoga. So I highly recommend people to send their children to outdoor games.
Right.
Let them learn what it means to lose
Right.
at the young age.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I want so I want to I don't want to call it regret throughout my life. So rather I would resume it.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's good. Right. You have studied English literature in detail, and it's the same way you thoroughly enjoyed Gujarati literature also. So, is there anything that you can say in terms of comparison? Like what I'm sure there are pluses and minuses on either side. So, if you can say something about that.
Literature, you're saying Gujarati literature, English
Yeah,
literature?
literature. Because in my case, for example, I am not familiar with Gujarati literature, so I don't know. I cannot make comments about any comparative study. I know
Yeah,
only
yeah.
English literature. That's it. Whereas you have traveled, you enjoyed both kinds of literature, English as well as Gujarati in detail, and now I think Hindi and probably a lot of Sanskrit as well. So you are you are in a position to compare both the literatures.
Okay, so right now I'm in a trap of making some general statements, but so be it.
Mm.
Let's let me say it what I wanted to say. See, in Gujarati literature, there are fixed themes
Okay.
people are writing about. Okay,
Hmm.
there may be exceptions here and there, but largely, when you pick up a novel or a story, you can make predictions.
Hmm.
Yeah. Whereas in English, since like people across the world are writing, and in Gujarati, there's a lot of influence of culture. Like so is with English, but in Gujarati, like people wouldn't explore some themes that in English people would easily explore. you know so that openness I find
Mm.
is more in English literature, yeah, than it is in Gujarati. Of course, in last decade, my if I see volume of reading English has doubled, and my
Mhm.
reading of Gujarati has lessened. But still, if I wouldn't just speak about literature, but about non-fiction also.
Mhm.
I don't see people writing good non-fiction books in Gujarati,
Mhm.
wherein in English it is plethora. You get plethora of
Right.
books about non-fiction. People write on I mean, topics that we can't imagine, and they write so beautifully about people writing books on pencil in English, and
Right.
they write philosophy of pencil.
Right.
Even the very thought of it is really thrilling.
Yeah, that reminds me of a very interesting article written on crows. I think it was
Huh.
a very famous writer. I forget the name. Probably Charles Dickens. Just about crows. Now you can imagine. And when you read it, it's so interesting, so beautifully written.
There is a philosophical essay, very long essay. The title is very interesting. It says what it means to be a bat.
What it means to be a bat.
Bat, yeah. See,
Okay,
your entire worldview is upside down. So that's how
right,
philosopher sees the world.
right.
Yeah.
Uh, if any viewer wants to ask a question, I think the platform is open. I am able to read the comments. Bijal Nanavati has sent a comment. I don't know, Vishal, are you able to see the comment or I will read it out?
Yeah, please read it out. I'm not able to see that.
Anyway, apart from academic, sports, cultural activities, art, yoga substantiates or enhances personal growth. Yeah, absolutely true. Yes,
Yeah,
correct.
it
Yeah.
does.
Now coming to, I'm going from out to in. Now I'm talking about your family. If you can say something about your immediate family and how you take care of them, how they take care of you, and what is the relationship. Because there is a lot
Okay.
of stuff online and offline about parenting.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah,
are
yeah.
your views about family, parenting, etc.?
Okay. So we are right now in my village, like in my home. I stay with my parents, my wife, and my son. My son is 5 years old. I have a elder brother who stays in Surat. His family is in Surat. My elder sister, she is settled in Ahmedabad, and our younger brother, he also is also in Ahmedabad. Insofar as family time is concerned, we have a very interesting kind of convention or tradition in our family. After lunch and dinner, we sit there without washing our hands for maybe 40 minutes and we chit
Oh,
chat. So ever
good.
since I remember, it has always been there. So we are
Okay.
known for that in our other family circles that if they come to us, they have to sit there, and chit chat.
Okay.
So that's
That's
so that
quality
is
time.
there. Yeah, that's a quality time. Another thing is in our family, almost everybody has got the sense of humor, so we laugh a lot.
Lovely. Good.
So we crack jokes and we find opportunities to make fun of one another, and that is there. And also my house is in old village, so my grandparents and my grandfather, they were five brothers. Though they in Saurashtra, you can see this in I think South Gujarat also, you have this Palaya system. So in Saurashtra
Hmm.
we have this Dela system, so in one big gate you have 15 houses. So
Okay. Right.
it's beautiful, like it's a community, so the sharing becomes natural to us, happy
Hmm.
sharing. And so, and we don't
Right.
have to take care of children because children are on their own. And so anybody, yeah, that does that. And insofar as parenting is concerned, so my child is 5 years old. We have not put him into any formal school.
Hmm.
uh, he is doing all the household chores, like
Hmm.
cleaning utensils, and so whatever I preach, I practice.
Right.
So
Hmm.
all the experiments on my child. So for his language learning, uh, I make him listen to songs, Bollywood songs,
Hmm.
and we both of us we dance at all the Bollywood like disco hits,
I have
and
yet
it
to see
looks
that video.
yeah,
I've seen other videos, but not this one.
yeah, and so I put all these videos of my son doing work on
Hmm.
Instagram.
Right.
So yeah, so I take him to nature, we go on hiking, you know meeting people.
Right.
And I also give him smartphone. Let me tell you this,
Hmm.
because many parents
Right.
are very like upfront negative about smartphone. No,
Hmm.
my child is born in digital era. He's a digital native.
Right.
but with
control.
clear with clarity on both the ends. So
Hmm.
we don't fight over, smartphone where he wants it and we snatch it. No, not like that. With absolute clarity, we gave 30 minutes of screen time,
Hmm.
and we encourage him to play variety of games.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, so that's what we
Right.
do.
Right. We are coming towards the end of this session, but normally what we have planned is towards the end of the session, the guest will ask a question to me, and I will try to
Oh,
answer. So this is an opportunity. I have not disclosed it earlier. So this
oh,
is an
this is not
opportunity.
fair.
Whatever we can say off the cuff, if you want to ask any question, you can ask. And
No,
I
this is
guarantee
not
that I
fair.
will listen to your question, but I will not answer it. I will if I cannot answer, then I will not answer it immediately. But I will definitely try to learn and find out and then answer.
Okay,
Because
okay.
guests often feel that I have answered so many questions and I didn't get a
Yeah, yeah,
chance. So this is an
yeah.
opportunity if you
Oh,
want
this
to
is
ask
very
any
good. I
question.
love this. I love this format wherein the guest gets free hit. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah. So I'm curious to know what has made you so focused on English. Like it's quite unlike me. Like I'm like exploring here and there, but you're quite focused. I find it very interesting to remain so focused at one discipline. What has made you so focused?
Yeah. In fact, many people ask me the same question, and it is probably those who are watching this for the first time or listening to me for the first time. Let me tell them that I spoke my first sentence in English, my own sentence, at the age of 23. Till that, I had no English, just a part of our regular subject in our school, and it was not very. It wasn't given very importance also. But then when I entered industry, I became an engineer, then I started working in industry. That was for the first time I saw that English is a means of communication. It is not just a textbook or a subject to study. It is a means of communication. And that actually, it was, because I couldn't communicate in English, I felt that something was missing. I was not complete in that sense. And I saw not just me, there were hundreds of people very good at their subject, excellent engineers, but they were not able to present their views. They were not able to communicate in English. So I took it as a personal insult. I thought I should do something, I
Oh,
should learn it first of all, I should teach also. So I studied, I learned, I struggled a lot. Even for a simple book, I had to go to Hyderabad or Mumbai. The condition in
yeah,
those
yeah.
days. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have the mobile. So it was all pen and paper. And luckily, we had BBC radio. So that was the
Ah,
biggest
yes.
teacher for me. I kept on listening to BBC radio, even if I didn't understand. I used to carry the Times of India with me when I went to Mumbai or Ahmedabad. I didn't know anything about that, but still I used to carry to create a kind of mental environment.
Right.
And when I learned it and when I started teaching it and when I saw my students using it as a tool to achieve success in their own professional field, so I got more and more interested. And luckily, I was introduced to English literature also. And I got some wonderful teachers, late Dr. M.I. Joshi and then late Dr. Sudhakar Marathe, Miraben Marathe. So I got wonderful teachers. And my guide also, Dr. Mamdat. So they helped me a lot and they guided me properly. And I'm happy that I'm able to help a couple of, a few people who want to learn English. And I
All
love,
right.
as you said, to fall in love with the language, with whatever
Ah,
you learn.
yes.
I literally fell into love with the English language and literature.
Right, right. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, like we met quite often and we traveled together, and
Mm.
I never find you discuss, very heavy stuff in terms of something that stresses you out, and you're always kind of chill and light. There are serious things we discuss, but I have never found you complaining. You're very
Mm.
positive, and the aura I always feel is very positive. How is that?
Uh, Probably because I don't have great ideas to discuss. I'm happy with whatever little bit I have learned. And I know my limitations because I tried to understand a poem, which is probably one of the most difficult poems in English literature, The Wasteland.
Ah, yes.
I have read that probably 100 times, tried to learn it, a number of times, and I have failed. So I know my command of language, literature, everything is limited. So, and basically, I'm a full-time learner. That is
Ah, yes,
the
yes,
thing.
yes.
I remember one of the trips that we took to had Pune, I think, Symbiosis, and on the
Yeah,
train we were
Sebastian.
discussing. We discussed probably for 6 or 7 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was just listening to you and learning so many things. And even today I remember the story that you told me about that the brother and the sister, the love between these two, and
Ah,
one of them
yes,
got
yes.
married to some other place, and then there was some lamp, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how beautifully you narrated that story.
Yeah.
I enjoy listening and learning, and that keeps
And
me probably calm.
probably the last question is, every now and then I see you uh, posting about you going out for dinner. You take so much of food. I don't know. I'm from village. I've eaten all sorts of foods, but somehow I can't convince my mind and heart and stomach to eat so much of restaurant food. How do you do that?
No, I do visit a lot of places and eat at different places, but I don't eat much.
Okay.
I
Okay.
taste and I enjoy and I take part in every activity actually.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that reminds me of one of the best advice from neuroscience.
Mm.
So what they did in Harvard is the longest study of Harvard Medical School is full life study of 700 people.
Okay.
So what they found is, who are these people who live long and healthy? So one of the conclusions is those people who spend quality time with people, those who live among people. There are people who are very secluded and
Mm.
I, me, and myself, and reserved kind
Right.
of people. They die early and they fall ill more often. So it's good to be with
Mhm.
people. Yeah.
Right, right. Lovely. So, thank you very much, Dr. Badani, for being with us for an hour. We wanted to keep it for 35 to 40 minutes, but then I think 1 hour, minimum 1 hour is required. So now onwards, all
Is
our
required.
future
Yeah.
episodes will be for 1 hour. And please request
Yeah.
Dr. Chotali on my behalf. I would love to invite him one day whenever it is
Yeah.
possible. Right. And thank you very much. And
Sure.
please,
I
in the
really
comments, you
enjoyed. I
write
really
names
enjoyed.
of books that you mentioned
Sure, sure.
in the comments
In the
on that
in
YouTube
this
links. You can
comment,
mention.
just a minute.
No,
I can
after this session is
afterwards.
over, when you go to YouTube, you can add titles of books that you mentioned or anything else that comes to your mind, so that my friends
Okay.
and colleagues and students can benefit from that. Thank you very much.
Right, right.
Have a great
Thank you
time.
for having me. I really enjoyed. Yeah, same to you. Bye bye. Yeah,
Thank you. Bye.
bye.